Welcome to Healthy Living at Workout Master. This is episode 25. This is Ruben.
And this is Aram.
Today we're going to talk about adrenal fatigue. Now, adrenal fatigue is a semi-controversial subject.
It is. It
Yeah?
is quite common in our particular observation.
Unfortunately, it is. Now, we're going to just kind of like tear it apart and figure out what is adrenals and what is adrenal fatigue, yeah?
And before, we actually go on with that, why don't we just, talk about what are the common symptoms of adrenal fatigue.
Okay. I think the best way to do it, like I can tell from my personal experience.
So did I went through my bout of it, and I think I did recover pretty good to a degree, of course.
Yeah, I think it's good to just kind of like, for me personally, guys, for years, I couldn't understand why certain things are happening with me. One of the most common ones was having a hard time getting up in the morning, needing the coffee in the morning.
Or any caffeinated liquids for that matter.
Okay. Another one, big one for me was craving sweet foods.
And sometimes the snacks that you crave typically are also sweet and salty, both.
Sweet and salty.
Right.
One thing that I found that was kind of like a breaking for me. One day I was watching a commercial and I kind of started getting a little teary. And I was like, okay, when you want to cry, when the commercial comes in, that's kind of, that's a scary. So there's an ability to cope with things. So if you cry through the movies a whole lot compared to not crying. Or,
besides being a normal emotional person.
No, yeah, exactly. If it's anything above just normal feeling.
Yeah, crying to a detergent commercial.
That's pretty bad. What else? Recovering from a workout.
It's very difficult.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So let's say I worked out in a heavy workout, or go play soccer, and I have a really hard time recovering from it. That would make,
So one thing that people might be very familiar with is when people have a hard time recuperating from colds and like normal diseases that should take its course in about 3, 4, 5 days, and you see people that they linger to that virus or to that bacteria for an extended amount of weeks.
Yeah, sometimes it can take a month or something.
Yeah.
Another one is a good sign that if you get tired towards afternoon, so around 3, 4 o'clock, you get tired.
People have that energy.
You need a little pick me up kind of thing.
And they usually go to the dispensing machines at work or whatever and grab some type of a snack, something sweet, typically with sugar, so it's gonna pick up the blood sugar and feel revive. Or they might reach for more coffee or any type of caffeinated drink. So
I experienced quite a lot of symptoms. I think Ruben, you did. Yeah.
Among all of those, the other thing that I quite experienced is that life begins to lose its fun. You find yourself that you're like a hamster in one of those spinning wheels, and you just spinning and spinning and running, and you're not getting anywhere. And that's ugly when you face life every day, and it's no longer fun. You just every day becomes like Groundhog Day. It's the same shitty story over and over,
Exactly.
And you start noticing that those things occur very, very commonly, and those are the main symptoms or the main characteristics when a person is developing adrenal fatigue.
So ultimately, you guys, I'm sure, want to have fun. We want to have fun, so let's figure out how to make this thing fun.
Good. Before, let's get into the anatomy and the physiology to a degree of how the adrenal.
Don't get scared. It's going to be very light.
It's very light, absolutely. The adrenal glands, they're like a pyramid-shaped, gland that sits in top of each of the 2 kidneys.
They're tiny, little.
Yeah, they're very tiny. Look at any anatomy book and you'll see what they look like. Mm-hmm. The main job that the adrenal glands have is to manufacture hormones. And they make mainly 2 types of hormones. Stress hormones, which is your cortisol, your epinephrine, your norepinephrine, adrenaline, noradrenaline, and also androgenic hormones. These are the hormones that actually help us rebuild and reconstruct and go on with our lives in a normal fashion. That will be our testosterone, estrogen, the different type of estrogens, so sex hormones. And one thing that is common when people are under a lot of stress is that the body, as we talked about the other day in the cholesterol episode, check that one out too, the body begins to run out of the resources to make more androgenic hormones, and it shifts all those resources to make more stress hormones. And that's the main characteristic of having adrenal fatigue, is that the body is overproducing a lot of stress hormones and putting pretty much in the back burner the production and the maintenance of the creation of those sex hormones.
So think of it like either go back to episode about stress, stress, good versus bad. We talked a little bit about it, but think of it again as this. There's only one stress response regardless of what kind of stress you're under. So regardless if you get attacked by somebody, or you're about to die, or you skip the meal, or you're having a bad time with your loved ones, or somebody's stressing you out at work, ultimately there's only one stress response. And if you abuse that stress response, so you get more stress in your life than you can cope with, that eventually creates an adrenal fatigue.
Right. It is important to make a very small differentiation there, is that we, by the law of nature, we're supposed to face those stresses. And sometimes they should be out of our control to a degree, because that's how we overcome ourselves to be able to actually grow physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Because if we would not have any trouble communicating with anybody, there will be no need for us to create ways to communicate better. So you have to have that conflict.
Or just to create anything.
No, because without any stress response, there's no movement forward.
Exactly. So there's no progress if there's no stress.
Right. So you have to have that stress in your life. It is good.
Stress neither good or bad, I would say. It's just, it's stress.
Well, you can have sometimes too much because you've been bombarded in all kinds of directions, but if you can actually cope with them, quote unquote, and it's like having to deal with them and not having it take the worst out of you, you will actually overcome, and that's how you conquer. But sometimes what happens is that, due to the lack of sleep, due to eating regularly, due to understanding what these things are happening to begin with, it will start to erode away, and it will make you sick. You will develop adrenal fatigue.
So over a period of time, you're going to start feeling a little symptoms. Your body going to let you know that something is malfunctioning within your body.
Yep.
And our goal as humans to start paying attention to our bodies and start listening to it and start providing more things for your body.
Yep.
So if you get any of the symptoms that we mentioned before, chances are your body's trying to let you know that there's a little bit more stress or a lot more stress than your body can handle.
Or wants to handle.
So your job is to start providing a little bit more for your body of things in the nature that can actually heal that adrenals. Let them recover. It's almost like you would want to take the adrenals and send them on a vacation.
Yes.
Yeah? So let's talk about things that our listeners can do for themselves to recover from adrenal fatigue if you feel like you have one. Just before we go into one thing you can do is I mentioned before in other episodes about stress that you can actually do a saliva test to figure out if you have an adrenal fatigue or not. If you are interested, please drop us a line and we'll be happy to tell you more about what you can do with a saliva hormone testing. Yeah? But the things that you can do without the testing are?
Well, eat frequently because the body needs the resources and the energy. Obviously, if you skip meals and you leave a large gap of hours in between your meals, your blood sugar is going to plummet. And when it plummets, cortisol rises. And when it rises, it starts fatiguing your adrenal glands.
Okay.
Right?
I think an important one is sleeping. I mean, you guys gonna hear this thing, and I heard the comments out of some of my clients are commenting. They're saying, "Hey, Aram, those are not regular suggestions. Sleep more, eat better." But guess what? They are huge. If you want to make a huge impact in your life, start sleeping better and start eating good food. You'll be amazed of what kind of results you're going to accomplish just with those two.
Right, and sleeping better means, getting to bed earlier.
Get to bed earlier, maybe sleep a little bit longer. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., that's traditional. If you sleep a little bit more, some people might need a little bit more.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What other things we can do?
Well, there's a couple things that that some holistic practice actually include putting a little bit of unprocessed sea salt in a glass of water and take it and drinking it first thing in the morning. That's like a huge influx of minerals that it will definitely help on the healing of the adrenal glands.
Okay. What I can recommend, I would say just drink water by itself.
Yeah.
One of the important ones is I think it's important to take some vitamin C. So you can get up to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. And another thing I would recommend is a complex vitamin B, because ultimately vitamin B is a precursor for your stress hormones.
Yes.
Yeah?
Correct. Although there's many protocols in the market and different stuff, this is things that you can start doing.
And just the simple things, basic things.
Right.
Laughing, having fun throughout the day.
I will do it.
It's huge.
Yes.
Please, read some jokes, find some funny people, and listen to them.
Watch funny movies, go to a comedy clubs, obviously don't make it in a way that it stresses you to have to get to that fun, obviously. But, laughter is a very important process that the human being has to realize almost on a daily basis. And that's what creates that trigger and the mechanism from the sympathetic nervous system, which is agitated and revved up, the fight and flight, to the parasympathetic, which is rest, relaxation, and restoration.
Okay. You have anything else?
I think that's a good start to let them know,
Guys, there is such a thing as adrenal fatigue. This is a couple of things that I want to mention. Within a traditional medicine, there's really no definition for adrenal fatigue, in my opinion, unfortunately.
Right.
Within the traditional medicine, it's either you have what's called an Addison disease, where your adrenals completely shut down,
blown out,
or there's really nothing wrong with you.
Right.
Now, we need the doctors, no, we're trying to play one, but within the alternative medicine, the development is to start to understand there's such a thing as an adrenal fatigue.
Right.
So we want to bring it to your awareness that there's a possibility, if you're having a certain symptoms, that your adrenals are getting tired, and there's things that you can do. So if those symptoms stopping you from achieving your goals, I would highly recommend you to look into adrenal fatigue. Read some books. By the way, one of the great books is Adrenal Fatigue by
James Wilson,
a naturopathic doctor, James Wilson. Excellent book, tons of great information. I went through a specific, I did my hormone testing and I did all kind of like supplementation program. I think Ruben did too, on top of doing the simple things. So if you have questions, shoot us an email or post a comment, we'll respond to it. That's basically all I want to say, Ruben.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Until next time, guys, thank you very much for following us.